Imagine losing everything you have in just a matter of days, your family, your possessions, and even your health. How would you react? Anger? Despair? This is the story of Job, the man who faced the greatest test in history, challenging the very destiny imposed on him by God. His journey begins abruptly, in a scene of utter devastation. Job, a man known for his kindness and unwavering faith, becomes the protagonist of a spiritual battle that transcends the earthly realm. It was not just his faith that was at stake, but the very concept of divine justice. As Job found himself engulfed in pain, a crucial question loomed in the background. Why would a righteous man face such overwhelming calamity? Could his faith withstand the storm? If you believe that even the toughest trials carry valuable lessons and a divine purpose, like this video, and subscribe to the channel to continue exploring inspiring stories like this one. Share this message with someone who might need to hear it, and let us know in the comments, what do you think is the role of suffering in our lives? Job lived in the land of Uz, a prosperous and peaceful region. He was a man of immense wealth, possessing vast herds of livestock, countless servants, and a large, loving family. But Job's true riches lay not in his possessions, but in his character. Known for his integrity, Job was described as blameless and upright, a man who feared God and shunned evil. His life was a testament to faith and humility, earning him respect among his peers and favor from God. Every day, Job interceded for his family, offering sacrifices on their behalf, saying, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This devotion reflected the depth of his relationship with the divine and his commitment to living righteously. However, unknown to Job, a profound conversation was unfolding in the heavenly realm, one that would alter the course of his life forever. In a celestial court, Satan appeared before God. With cunning words, he questioned the foundation of Job's faith. "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan asked. "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household? But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." Job 1:9-11. Satan's challenge was clear. He believed Job's devotion was superficial, tied solely to the blessings he had received. In response, God did something extraordinary. Confident in Job's integrity, he allowed Satan to test him, saying, "Very well, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." Job 1:12. With this, the stage was set for one of the most harrowing trials in human history. Job, the upright and devoted man, was about to face an unimaginable test of faith. The peaceful life that Job had cherished came to an abrupt and catastrophic end. In a single day, he faced a series of unimaginable losses that would test not only his faith, but the very fabric of his existence. It began with the destruction of his wealth. His thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys, each representing years of prosperity and hard work, were taken from him in a cascade of disasters. Raiders attacked his livestock, fire consumed his herds, and bands of marauders carried away what was left. But the most devastating blow was yet to come. While Job was still reeling from the news of his financial ruin, a servant arrived with the most heart-wrenching report of all. A mighty wind had struck the house where his sons and daughters were feasting, and the building collapsed, killing them all. In an instant, Job lost not only his legacy, but the very people he held closest to his heart. The narrative spares no detail in painting the picture of Job's sorrow. The weight of his grief was insurmountable, and his reaction was raw and profound. Job tore his robe, a symbol of mourning, and shaved his head, a gesture of utter despair. Yet, in his grief, Job did something extraordinary. He fell to the ground in worship and uttered these now famous words, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." Job 1:21. The test did not end there. As if the loss of his possessions and family were not enough, Satan returned to the divine court, seeking to push Job further into despair. He claimed that Job's faith endured only because his own health had been spared. God, confident in Job's integrity, allowed Satan to afflict him physically, but forbade him from taking Job's life. Soon, Job's body was ravaged by painful sores, from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. The man who had once been the epitome of health and prosperity was now reduced to sitting among ashes, scraping his wounds with a piece of broken pottery. His physical suffering compounded his emotional and spiritual anguish, leaving him isolated and vulnerable. Even his wife, overwhelmed by the extent of their suffering, urged him to abandon his faith, saying, "Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die." Job 2.9. But Job's response remained steadfast, though tinged with the sorrow of a man. He replied, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" Job 2:10. In all of this, the text notes, Job did not sin in what he said. Despite the crushing weight of his losses, he refused to curse God, holding on to his faith even as his understanding of God's justice was challenged to its core. Job's initial response to his trials set the stage for the deeper conflict to come. His suffering was not just a test of endurance, but a profound exploration of human faith in the face of inexplicable pain. It is here that the story shifts from external losses to internal struggles, as Job begins to wrestle with the silence of God and the accusations of those around him. As Job sat in silence among the ashes, his misery attracted the attention of three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. Hearing of his immense suffering, they came to console him. At first, their presence seemed a comfort. For 7 days and 7 nights, they sat with Job, sharing in his grief without uttering a single word. Their silent solidarity was a profound expression of mourning, a moment of stillness in the chaos that had engulfed Job's life. But the silence did not last. As Job began to voice his anguish, pouring out his pain in lamentation, his friends responded not with compassion, but with accusations veiled as wisdom. Eliphaz, the first to speak, suggested that Job's suffering must be the result of hidden sin. Consider now, who being innocent has ever perished? Where were the upright ever destroyed? Job 4:7. He implied that Job's trials were a form of divine punishment, urging him to seek forgiveness and return to righteousness. Bildad followed, echoing similar sentiments, but with harsher words. He argued that Job's children must have sinned, and their deaths were a consequence of their guilt. When your children sinned against him, he gave them over to the penalty of their sin. Job 8:4. Bildad's reasoning was simple but cruel, reducing Job's immeasurable loss to a supposed moral failing. Zophar, the most severe of the three, accused Job of being arrogant for questioning God's justice. He insisted that Job's suffering was deserved and even suggested that Job's punishment was less severe than he deserved. Know this, God has even forgotten some of your sin. Job 11:6. Their words, intended as counsel, cut Job deeply, adding to his already unbearable burden. Faced with these accusations, Job's grief turned to frustration. He defended his integrity, insisting that he had done nothing to warrant such suffering. Though he slay me, yet I will hope in him. I will surely defend my ways to his face. Job 13:15. His words reflected both his unwavering faith and his growing desire for answers. Why had he, a man devoted to God, been subjected to such profound agony? Job's laments grew bolder as he wrestled with the silence of God. He questioned the fairness of his situation and the nature of divine justice itself. Why do the wicked live on, growing old and increasing in power? Job 21:7. Job's words echoed the universal human struggle with the problem of suffering. Why do the righteous endure hardship while the wicked prosper. Throughout these dialogues, the tension between Job and his friends intensified. Their rigid belief in retributive justice, that suffering is always a consequence of sin, clashed with Job's lived experience and his insistence on his innocence. The once comforting presence of his friends became another source of anguish, as their accusations felt like betrayals during his darkest hour. Amid the conflict, Job's relationship with God remained at the center of his turmoil. His faith had not faltered, but it had grown restless. He longed for an audience with God, a chance to plead his case and understand the reasons for his suffering. His cries for justice and understanding transcended his personal pain, touching on questions that resonate deeply with all who have faced inexplicable trials. As the conflict between Job and his friends reached its peak, the stage was set for a divine response. Job's unwavering desire for answers, his refusal to accept simplistic explanations, and his bold confrontation with God's silence would lead to one of the most powerful moments in biblical literature, a moment where the Creator himself would step into the conversation. After Job's impassioned cries for justice and the heated arguments with his friends, silence fell once more. Job had laid bare his soul, expressing his frustration, his pain, and his desperate longing for an explanation from God. It was in this moment of profound vulnerability that the divine finally answered. Out of a whirlwind, God spoke. His words a thunderous reminder of his power and sovereignty. God's response was not what Job expected. Instead of addressing Job's questions directly, the Lord asked a series of questions that highlighted the vastness of his wisdom and the limitations of human understanding. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Job 38:4-5. These questions were not meant to belittle Job, but to provide perspective, reminding him of the infinite complexity of creation and the boundless wisdom of the Creator. As God continued to speak, he described the wonders of the natural world, the stars in the heavens, the boundaries of the seas, the wild creatures of the earth. His words painted a vivid picture of a universe governed by divine order, one far beyond the comprehension of even the most righteous of men. Through this response, God reminded Job that there are mysteries and purposes woven into the fabric of existence that humans cannot fully grasp. Faced with the overwhelming majesty of God's words, Job was humbled. He acknowledged his limitations and repented for questioning the divine plan. Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. Job 42:3. Job's humility and acceptance marked a turning point in his journey. He had not cursed God, as Satan had predicted, but instead deepened his understanding of faith, a faith that trusts even when answers are not readily given. With Job's repentance came restoration. God, in his mercy, not only forgave Job, but also vindicated him in the presence of his friends. The Lord rebuked Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar for their harsh and misguided words, instructing them to offer sacrifices and seek Job's prayers on their behalf. Job, in an act of grace, prayed for his friends, demonstrating his continued righteousness and his capacity for forgiveness. Then came the restoration of Job's life. The scriptures recount that the Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part. Job 42:12. His wealth was doubled, his flocks and herds replenished in abundance. He was blessed with more sons and daughters, and his daughters were described as the most beautiful in the land. Job lived to see 4 generations of his descendants, a testament to the fullness of his restoration. But the heart of Job's restoration was not in the material blessings or even the expansion of his family. It was in the renewed depth of his relationship with God. Job had faced the ultimate test of faith, enduring unimaginable suffering, and emerged with a stronger, more profound understanding of divine justice and human humility. His story became a timeless example of resilience, trust, and the mystery of God's greater plan. As Job's life returned to abundance, his story left an indelible mark, a reminder that faith is not about having all the answers, but about trusting in the one who holds them. And through Job's journey, the eternal question remains: what can we learn about faith when faced with trials beyond our understanding? The story of Job is not simply a tale of suffering and restoration. It is a profound exploration of faith, human resilience, and the relationship between the Creator and His creation. Job's journey offers timeless lessons that resonate with anyone who has ever faced pain, loss, or unanswered questions. At its core, the narrative challenges the simplistic notion that blessings are always a reward for righteousness and suffering a punishment for sin. Job's integrity was never in question. His trials were not a reflection of his failures, but a test of his unwavering faith. Through Job, we are reminded that life's hardships are often beyond human comprehension, and that trust in God's purpose requires humility and surrender. One of the most striking aspects of Job's story is his honesty. He did not mask his pain or suppress his doubts. Instead, he cried out to God, questioned him, and sought understanding. Job's openness illustrates that faith does not require blind acceptance, but can coexist with genuine inquiry and emotion. His laments were not acts of rebellion, but expressions of a heart seeking clarity in the midst of chaos. The divine response to Job's cries underscores this lesson. God did not offer a detailed explanation for Job's suffering, but revealed the majesty and vastness of his creation. The message was clear: human understanding is limited, and trust in God's wisdom is essential, even when his ways are inscrutable. Job's story reminds us that faith is not rooted in having all the answers, but in trusting the one who holds them. Job's restoration also carries a powerful message. While the doubling of his wealth and the birth of new children symbolize divine favor, they are not the ultimate resolution of his story. The true restoration lies in Job's deeper relationship with God, a relationship refined through suffering, marked by humility, and strengthened by trust. It is a restoration of the soul, one that transcends material gains and earthly blessings. This story concludes with a sense of hope and renewal. Job's life, once filled with despair, became a testament to the enduring power of faith. The phrase, "The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part," Job 42:12, encapsulates the overarching theme of redemption and the promise that faithfulness, even in the darkest moments, will ultimately lead to light. Through Job's journey, we are left with questions that invite reflection. How do we respond when faced with trials that defy explanation? Can we, like Job, hold on to faith when God's plans seem hidden from us? And what does it mean to trust in a purpose greater than our understanding? These questions are not easily answered, but Job's story offers a roadmap, a way to navigate the storms of life with integrity, resilience, and hope. The legacy of Job is one of courage and surrender, a reminder that while suffering is a part of the human experience, it is not the final word. Job's faith was not a shield from pain, but a source of strength within it. His story invites us to embrace faith as both a journey and a refuge, trusting that even in our darkest hours, God's presence and purpose remain. If you, like Job, are going through a difficult time of loss, or if you believe in the word of the Lord and the path He has drawn for your life, give this video a like and share your story in the comments. Tell us about a trial God placed in your life and how, like Job, you stood firm in His word. Don't forget to let us know the country you're watching from. We'd love to see how Job's story is touching hearts around the world.